All right, guys, our next guest is headlining the TUF 25 finale against UFC newcomer Justin Gaethje in a fight which has fans excited around the world. He is a former UFC Fight of the Night, Knockout of the Night, and Performance of the Night winner, the number 6th ranked lightweight in the world. He joins us here for the first time on Submission Radio. Michael Johnson, welcome to the program.
Hi, man. How you guys doing? Thanks for having me on.
It's a huge pleasure. We've wanted you on for a long time, so it's a great day. And we know early this month you actually celebrated your birthday. Tell us, what was the celebration like, and did you get any interesting presents?
Yeah, no, I'm in the middle of training camp, so nothing like a birthday exists. Unfortunately, mine came in the middle of training camp. So I just relaxed, took it easy. I trained that morning, and that was it. I'll celebrate after July 7th is over with.
Yeah, is this the first birthday that you've had during a training camp, or is it something that you're used to?
It's something that I became familiar with. Always competing and wrestling. You always end up having like matches or fights around like Christmas or holidays like that. And actually, it's a coincidence. On the fight to get into the house on the TUF finale, I was sitting in the sauna cutting weight on my birthday, to get in the house for TUF 11. So that was an interesting story on that as well.
Wow. I can't think of a worst birthday present. Hey, happy birthday. Now you got to sit in the sauna, cut weight. I'm also curious, what was the food situation like this past birthday? Because I imagine no birthday cake. Did someone make you like a makeshift, vegetable birthday cake just to make it feel like you're, receiving a birthday cake?
Actually, I keep my weight pretty down and in shape and good, so I was actually able to have a pretty unhealthy piece of birthday cake.
Hey.
I just had to pay for it the next day.
That's all right, man. There's only one type of a birthday cake, and that's the unhealthy ones. Those are the only ones that count. Now, let's talk. Before we talk about this great big fight that everybody's excited about, we just want to touch on your last fight with Khabib at UFC 205. You had some success on the feet, but you ended up losing on the ground while Khabib was sort of talking to you and Dana White in between rounds. And I know that some time has passed, so I'm just wondering, what have you taken away from that experience? And have you been able to move on from that fight?
You're never really able to move on from losses. And if any other fighter tells you otherwise, they're lying or they're trying to play a different game, at least from my experiences. But that will always be with me, and it'll always help me get better. A fight like that will turn me into a champion. So it was pretty actually hilarious when I went back and watched it. That he was talking in the middle of it, and but my hat's off to him. He's a great fighter, but I hope I can get that rematch here pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, we were actually watching the other day as well. We were watching the Meaty Day stare downs. We were there live, and I mean, it must have been a strange experience. You're in MSG against a guy that you were pretty friendly with prior to the fight, and he's saying all that stuff during the fight. I'm curious, what went through your mind, and what did you sort of take away and learn from that experience?
Actually in the fight, nothing was going through my mind except move and try to get up and not get this fight stopped. You know what I mean? So just everything is a learning experience. I need to get better in certain positions. That's no secret, and I've been working to improve that.
Well, let's talk about training for a second, because training-wise, we know there's been a little bit of a change as well. Henri Hooft now coaches out of Combat Club MMA. And what exactly was that move like from you, from the Blackzilians? And are you still with the Blackzilians and training with Henri, or are you completely training with Henri now over there at Combat Club MMA?
We're just over at Combat Club MMA. I'm no longer a Blackzilian. I'm not part of that team anymore. They're doing their own thing. So, I just parted ways, and I stuck with Henri. I stuck with Greg Jones. And, we're building a pretty successful unit, and, we got some big things in the works.
I mean, it must have been a big shift mentally leaving a place like that. You training for so long, getting used to a new routine. Have you sort of gotten used to your new surroundings at Combat Club MMA, and would you say you've gotten settled?
Yeah, absolutely. All I need is a mat and a few bags and my training partners. And, that's what ended up happening. I still got all my training partners with me. And, we have a great facility, and it's just us in there, and, we're all helping each other to get better.
I mean, Henri, for a long time, he's been regarded as a guy that's an amazing trainer in MMA, great striking coach, and so much success he's had with a lot of different other fighters. Can you tell us what is it about that partnership of you and Henri that kind of works for you?
We both understand each other, and he's bluntly honest, the same as me, and he's going to tell me what I need to work on, and he's not going to sugarcoat anything. And you need coaches like that in your corner. He's the guy that's never going to turn his back on you when things get hard and tough. And we've built a very well rapport. We're on the same page that to build a champion and to walk away with the title.
We remember hearing Anthony Rumble Johnson talk about his special bond with Henri Hooft. He seems like a guy that really sort of gets in touch with fighters. I'm just curious though, what exactly led you to leave the Blackzilians? Because for a long time that was one of the more dominant groups in MMA. From your experience being there, what exactly went wrong with the gym, and what led you to sort of leave and do something else?
It was just a choice of who I needed to stick with that was going to make me a better fighter. And, not getting into any details, some things went on that, that wasn't on my end. I had nothing to do with it. And, I just stuck with the group I needed to stick with. So.
Well, Michael, you almost had another fight at UFC 209 when Khabib had to pull out. I'm just wondering, going back to that moment in time, how close did the fight get to actually coming together? And were you disappointed when it didn't end up happening?
Yeah, I was actually very disappointed that it didn't end up happening. And, it was extremely close. Me and Dana talked after I offered that I could fight, and we were just waiting on Tony to make a decision, and he declined it at like the last second. So, I was ready to go and try to cut as much as like 13 pounds within like 5-6 hours, and
wow.
He said no. So I don't know why he said no. I would have jumped on that, especially if I was him, ready to fight a guy that already beat me. So
that's a crazy situation. I believe from Tony's end, he mentioned it was sort of monetary reasons, but what goes through your mind when you sort of make that preparation to cut that amount of weight in such a short amount of time? We imagine that takes a lot of balls to do something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I had on my mind was to get ready. It's about to be a hard 5-6 hours. But, I had my coaches with me, I had my teammates, and we were ready to get the job done and go compete the next day. So, unfortunately, he said no.
Yeah, and of course, everybody knows you beat him once via decision. How do you think that UFC 209 rematch would have gone between you and Tony if it would have happened? I mean, it's a crazy amount of weight to cut, but how do you think it would have played out?
I would have won. That's how I think it would have played out. I would have went in and got another decision again.
We're just speaking of the division
or a knockout. I would have went in and got to win.
And just speaking of the division in itself, how do you feel about the current landscape? Khabib's future is uncertain. McGregor is fighting Mayweather. RDA is gone, and Ferguson is kind of in limbo at the moment. No one knows what's going on. How do you see the division at the moment?
It's time for me to come in and take over. Everybody's sitting around and waiting on this fight and waiting on that fight and not really signing up to fight. Nobody wants to fight. It's strange. So I just need to, handle business and take care of Justin in a few weeks and, call my shot.
As someone in the division high up, do you think there should be a new champion crowned in the division while Conor's UFC future is uncertain? Well,
as far as I'm concerned, that title got vacated when Conor signed the box. Mayweather, and my hats off to him. He's gonna make a killer, win or lose. I would have did the same thing. I don't see a champion in our division. He made that switch right now. So who knows? We'll see what happens in the next few months.
Do you buy the rumors of him returning at the end of the year and defending the lightweight belt, or are you sort of preparing that there's going to be new title contenders and a new champion pretty soon?
I hope I see him again. I hope we see him in the cage again. He's great to watch. He's great for the sport. And, I myself included, I would love to see him back.
And I mean, before we talk about this huge fight you got with Justin, just want to get a quick prediction from you. I mean, everybody's trying to figure out what's going to happen here. Are you giving him a chance against Mayweather here? Do you believe he can get it done?
Yeah, my honest opinion, I could care less about the fight, honestly. it's happening. Good for him. Good for Floyd. And, I just need to focus on myself and what I need to do. So, I'm not really too interested in what the outcome is going to be.
All right, fair enough. Well, look, let's stick to your fight then. Justin Gaethje is obviously someone who's known for his exciting style and being the World Series of Fighting long-time lightweight champion. What did you think when he was presented as your next opponent?
I was excited for it. Justin's the guy that always brings the fight to his opponent. He's always in there. He's always ready to fight, and that's what I like. I like guys that are going to go in there and fight, and that's what I got. He's always been, one of the better lightweights in the world. So now it's time for him to really test his skills.
I mean, you're highly ranked in the lightweight division. Was he the guy that you wanted originally, or did you have some other names in mind that you wanted over him? I was asked to fight him, and I said yes. I was wondering who I was going to fight next. It was maybe Evan Dunham. A few other names got thrown around, but this was the fight that landed on our desk, and of course we're going to accept it.
Mm-hmm. You and him had a bit of a back and forth at the UFC press conference. How did you enjoy that experience, and did you learn anything about him when you sort of looked into his eyes during his stare down, or the trash talk that the two of you engaged in?
The press conference was fun. It's there to see if you could get under the other guy's skin, and I think I succeeded in that. So I think I might have got him a little mad and angry. That might be good for us.
You mentioned how he's an exciting fighter. Have you had much of a chance to watch some of his previous fights in World Series of Fighting, and sort of how do you rate him as a fighter?
Yeah, I've watched some of his fights. He fought a former teammate of mine, and Luis Buscapé, and Buscapé was actually beating him until the ref and the doctors called that fight. So, I watch him. I just take from him, that everybody else does. He's an aggressive puncher, and he likes to fight. And, unfortunately, I like to do that as well. So we're going to have a good one on our hands.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's no doubt the fact that Justin, he doesn't always follow the, I guess, quote-unquote, wisest strategies, choosing instead to go for the, exciting wins, sometimes at his own cost. Do you believe that we'll see the same Justin in the fight with you at the TUF finale, or are you sort of expecting, maybe a little bit more of a conservative and possibly different Justin who utilizes his wrestling and grappling?
I hope I see the same Justin, because at the end of the day, we're only as good as who we really are. And if that's the fighter he really is, then that's the fighter we're going to see. So, I hope that Justin shows up July 7th. Now, if I think he's going to show up, we'll see how that plays out.
What did you think about him promising on the MMA hour that he expects to get knocked out in the next 10 fights? It's not something you usually hear fighters say. Do you see a scenario where it may happen in this fight?
Of course I see that scenario. Be careful what you wish for. That's all I can say. If he sees that coming, then he's putting that out in the universe for himself. And, the funny thing is the universe tends to give you what you ask for. And, he's asking for it. He's putting it out there, so watch out.
He's obviously undefeated at 17-0, and you faced a lot of tough guys in your career. Is there sort of extra motivation for you to be the first one to give him the first loss on his record?
No, there's no extra motivation in me being the first one to give him a loss. It's just motivation for me to continue my journey in the UFC. A loss is not an option for me. It does nothing for me, and it puts me in a very bad position. I need to go out here. I need to put on a dominant performance, and I need a statement fight, and that's what's going to happen to us.
What do you think about the competition that he's faced in the past? Do you think he'll be sort of surprised by the level of competition in the UFC, specifically yourself?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a little shocked, but, he's been around the block. He's got 17 fights. He's fought in guys that have fought all over the world in different organizations. He's fought in previous champs before. So he's not going to see anything that he hasn't seen before. I'm definitely the fastest guy that he's faced, and I think I'm the most dangerous guy that he's going to face. We'll see how things play out.
And just take us into that a little bit, if you can, Michael. Obviously, you mentioned some of your advantages just now. You're obviously a strong wrestler, a really good striker as well. How do you see yourself matching up against him from a technical aspect?
He did mention that he's a G1 All-American, and, I've fought in the best wrestlers in the world. I've fought in, numerous black belts, and, it's not a wrestling match. It's not a jiu-jitsu match. So we're going to go in there. We're going to fight. My training partners are great at what they do. I fight great grapplers every day in the gym. So it's just going to be another wrestler, on my resume that I have to fight.
I mean, take us back for a second, Michael. We've seen some huge improvements in your UFC career. What do you think is the biggest difference between the Michael Johnson we saw in The Ultimate Fighter to the one we see now about to fight at the Ultimate Fighter finale in the headlining fight?
I think it's obvious. My experience and my knowledge of the game. I've taken the time to become a student, and I still am learning, and I'm trying to pick up new things every day. And like I said, it's a process for me, and it's a journey. So, I know how to, pick my shots and do what I need to do to win. It's all about being a veteran at this stage of the game right now. And, it's all about making the right moves. It's a chess game. Early in my career, it was more of a checkers game to me. But, now it's turned into a chess game.
I love it. And I'm also wondering, you're going in there. You just mentioned before that you need to go in and handle your business against Justin Gaethje, and then you're going to call your shot. I know fighters never want to look past their opponents, but are you sort of already picturing, this wide open the division, you getting in the win? Do you know what your shot is? Do you sort of have someone in mind that you're sort of thinking about already fighting and sort of your direct path to getting that title shot?
No, I don't have anybody in mind. Like I said, my focus is 110% Justin. And, that's where it needs to be. I can never look past anybody. I can never underestimate anyone. I've done that in the past, and I've learned my lesson.
All right, well, the fight goes down on July 7th at the Tough Redemption finale. Give us the official prediction, Michael. How do you see yourself winning this fight?
I see myself winning by knockout. I'm going to play the game smart just like I need to. And, I'm going to take Justin out of his element. So he's in for a rude awakening.
All right, well, there you go, guys. Very fan-friendly matchup. Make sure to follow Michael on Twitter @FollowTheMenace and Instagram @Menace155. The fight goes down on July 7th in the US and the 8th here in Australia due to the time difference. Thank you so much for taking the time with us, Michael. Really appreciate it, and good luck in the fight.
Right, thank you. Appreciate it.